If you are considering buying a weighted blanket, stop and watch this video till the end. I have had trouble falling asleep from time to time, and weighted blankets were on my radar for quite some time. But I wasn't seriously considering getting a weighted blanket until my girlfriend told me that she wanted it. Well, her birthday was coming along and we needed a new blanket, so I decided to buy one. The first thing to consider when buying a weighted blanket is its weight. The rule of thumb is that it shouldn't be more than 10% of your body weight. So for my weight of 69 kilos, it would be 7 kilos. Plus my girlfriend weighs around 60 kilos, so 10% is another 6 kilos. In total, that's 13 kilos or 29 pounds. You can find many different weights to choose from. Before owning a weighted blanket, I thought anything lighter than 10 kilos shouldn't be called a weighted blanket. Though, in case you're wondering, a regular blanket weighs around half a kilo. Next on the list of considerations is price. To my surprise, the price was comparable to a regular high-quality blanket. For a blanket for two, I paid 152 euros. I checked a few stores and the prices were similar. In general, the bigger and heavier the blanket, the more you will pay. Lastly, you need to pick the material. The most common is a poly cotton blanket, which is filled with glass or steel beads. Another option is knitted heavy blankets. They look cool, but I'm wary about the texture. Though they aren't filled with anything, so they won't spill the beads, as I think can happen with a regular heavy blanket from all the wear and tear. My personal choice was a 12 kilo weighted blanket filled with beads. So I ordered the thing. It came in one of those bags from which you can take the blanket out but can't put it back in. Makes it hard to get a refund. First thing you will need to do once you get it is to put on the covers. Putting the covers on a regular blanket is some kind of torture, but the weighted blanket brings it to the next level. Getting the corners right and trying to wiggle everything into place is a whole bodybuilding exercise. When you get into bed, the exercise continues as you have to lift the blanket to cover yourself up. During the first night, I didn't feel the heavenly cuddling sensation that was advertised. I just felt the heaviness, and to me it was not calming at all. Also, a barrier of beads forms across my girlfriend, making cuddling something you need to work for, as it's hard to get across the bed. A huge plus is that stealing the blanket at night is a thing of the past, because the blanket is stuck in place as if you had put bricks on the sides. The experience after the first night was rather disappointing, as I slept just like any other night. So in my mind, the heavy blanket was losing on so many fronts, but we decided to try it for at least a week and see if we get used to it. Honestly, I did get used to it, or did I become stronger? So we kept the blanket and we have been using it for several months now. We aren't considering switching back because our old blanket was too small, so we would need to buy a new one. Though we are expecting a child and this blanket feels a bit like a safety hazard, so maybe we will need to switch. Now, what does the science say about weighted blankets? Weighted blankets mimic a therapeutic technique called deep pressure stimulation, or pressure therapy, which has been studied more, and the benefits of weighted blankets are inferred from these studies. They include relieved perception of pain, reduced symptoms of anxiety, improved sleep quality, relieved symptoms of depression. There are only a handful of studies where weighted blankets are being used, and they are very small. Also, those studies are mostly targeted at ADHD, anxiety, and depressive disorders. They seem to find the same benefits as the pressure therapy studies. So, if you are considering buying a heavy blanket and you don't have any underlying condition, then don't have your expectations too high. Most likely, if you don't have trouble falling asleep, you won't notice any difference. However, if you do have problems with sleep or anxiety, then it might be worth trying out a weighted blanket. So this has been my experience with weighted blankets. If I were looking for a new one, I wouldn't buy a weighted blanket as I don't experience the benefits, only the annoying bits. I haven't yet used it during summer. I imagine it can be a problem as well. Maybe you already have a weighted blanket. Let me know how was your experience with it.